Hi, Meredith Anderson with the Boys and Girls Club of North Central Florida. Today we are going to talk about sexual abuse, and we're going to give you some strategies on how to report, the signs to look for, etc. First, let's define sexual abuse. Sexual abuse is any sexual act between an adult and a minor, or between two minors when one exerts control or power over another. It's the forcing or persuading a child to engage in any type of sexual act. It also includes non-contact acts such as exposure to pornography or communicating in a sexual manner by phone or internet. Sexual abuse is a crime that is punishable by law. We at the Boys and Girls Club believe that protecting children from sexual abuse is an adult's responsibility. Child sexual abuse happens. Children brave terrible abuses alone and repeatedly, often with no protection. Sometimes adults have simply lacked the knowledge to help prevent these situations or have not had the awareness to recognize the signs. Sometimes we dismiss our gut feelings, and sometimes we miss opportunities for courage. Today we're going to talk about 5 steps to protecting our children. Step 1. 1 in 10 children are sexually abused. This means realities rather than blind trust should influence our choices regarding children's safety from sexual abuse. It's likely that you know a child who has been or is being abused. Experts estimate that 1 in 10 children are sexually abused before their 18th birthday. Youth are the victims in 66% of all sexual offenses reported to law enforcement. Youth are 2.5 times more likely to be raped than adults. About 40% of the victims are 11 years old or younger. 9% of 10 to 17-year-olds receive sexual requests while on the internet. Sexual abused children are at greater risk for psychological, emotional, social, and physical problems, often lasting into adulthood. Most children victims never report sexual abuse. It's also likely that you know an abuser. The greatest risk to children doesn't come from strangers, but from people we know and trust. People who sexually abuse children often go out of their way to appear trustworthy. 90% of children who are sexually abused know their abuser. 30% are actually abused by family members. 60% are abused by people the family trust. Those who abuse gain access to the children in school, church, sports clubs, and often move into a position of trust within the family. So what's next? Research demonstrates that sexually abused children are more likely to experience serious consequences during childhood and throughout their lives. Some of these are anxiety and depression, substance abuse, aggression, criminal behavior, sexual promiscuity, teen pregnancy and motherhood, self-inflicted harm, and even suicide. Step 2, minimize opportunity. More than 80% of sexual abuse incidents happen in isolated one-on-one situations with a child. It's important that we eliminate or reduce isolated one-on-one situations to decrease risk for abuse. Choose group situations and have multiple adults supervise children. Scan the physical environment for hidden areas and correct dangers. Make sure interactions can be observed. Remember that older youth should not be isolated or in one-on-one situations with younger children. Step 3, talk about it. It's important that we understand why children are afraid to tell. The abuser sometimes threatens the child or a family member. The abuser may try to confuse the child about right and wrong. Many abusers tell children the abuse is okay or it's just a game. The abuser may shame the child, blame the child, or tell the child that his or her parents will be angry. Children are afraid of disrupting or hurting their family. Children who did not initially disclose are afraid to tell when it happens again. Some children are just too young to understand. That's why it's important that we have open conversations with children about their bodies and boundaries. It's important that we understand and know how children communicate. Children may ask questions about bodies, interactions, rather than talk directly about something they've experienced. Children may tell parts of what happened or pretend it happened to someone else to check your reaction. Children who disclose sexual abuse often tell a trusted adult or someone other than a parent. Children will often shut down and refuse to tell more if you respond emotionally or negatively. One of the best protections is our relationship with children. It's important that we talk about boundaries. Talking about boundaries forges a protective bond between a caregiver and a child. It instills knowledge that makes children and teens less vulnerable. So how can we do this? It's important that you talk with children when they're young and use proper names for their body parts. Tell children what sexual abuse is, and when it's age appropriate, talk to them about sex. Tell children what parts of the bodies others should not touch. Use examples with situations and people in their lives. Tell children that they have the right to tell anybody no to unwanted or uncomfortable touch. Tell children it's not okay for adults or older youth to use sexual words with them or to act in a sexual way. Explain that secrets can be harmful, and if someone asks them to keep a secret, they should tell you about it. Teach children not to give out email or home addresses, phone numbers, or other personal information while using the internet or handheld devices. Ask children, talk to them about their online experiences, and learn about the sites and services they use. Speak and listen calmly. It's important that children feel safe and loved in all of these discussions. Step 4, recognize the signs. It's important that we know the signs of abuse to protect children from further harm. Physical signs are not common, but the following should be carefully examined by a professional. Bruising, bleeding, redness, rashes, bumps, or scabs, especially around the genitals. Urinary tract infections. Sexually transmitted diseases. Abnormal discharge. Chronic stomach pain, headaches, or other ailments that can't be explained medically. Emotional and behavior signs are actually more common. They may experience withdrawal, depression, anger, rebellion, defiance, agitation, or inability to concentrate, fear of situations or people, sexual behavior and language that are not age appropriate, failing grades, use of alcohol or drugs, especially at a young age, a change in behavior. Step 5, react responsibly. Understand how to respond to risky behaviors and suspicions or reports of abuse. There are 3 times that we need to react to sexual abuse. 1, when a child discloses it to us. 2, if we discover it ourselves. Or 3, we have reason to suspect it. It's important that we remember, a child has broken through secrecy, fear, and shame and has chosen you as the person that he or she trusts to tell. Honor that with attention, compassion, and belief. Listen calmly and openly. Don't fill in the gaps or rush to get to the bottom of it. Don't ask leading questions about details. Ask only open-ended questions like what happened next, or say it's okay to tell me more. Believe the child. Tell the child that he or she has done nothing wrong. Affirm the child's courage. Seek the help of a professional who is trained to talk with children about sexual abuse. In case you've witnessed a sexually abusive act by an adult or youth with a child, or you know by some other way that abuse has taken place, for example, a friend or coworker has told you something definitive, in cases of disclosure or discovery, report immediately to local law enforcement or to Child Protective Services in the county in which the child lives. Tell the child's name and where he or she lives. Tell the facts. This may include what the child has told you or behaviors that you've witnessed from the child or even the alleged offender. Tell what signs you've seen. Tell what access the alleged offender has to the child. In case of suspicion, you've seen signs in a child, or you've witnessed boundary violations by an adult or youth towards a child. Suspicion means, by definition, at a very minimum, you need to set some limits or ask some questions. People who offend are rarely seen in the act of sexually abusing a child, but they are often seen breaking the rules and pressing boundaries. We can make a difference, step by step, and these steps add up to happier, healthier, safer children and stronger communities.